This is Tiger Cats Postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
Tiger Cats postgame with a little warm and fuzzy feeling. Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the BC Lions 30-13 to improve to 4-6, and they do so on the road, many hours away at BC Place. Bubba O'Neill along with Andy Fantuz, and Andy, we talked about it. I'll repeat myself. Enjoyment and celebration. And boy, that 5-hour trip on that plane tonight's going to be a lot of fun.
It sure is. You could see the team just enjoying themselves tonight. And I think this trip as a whole, going out 2 days early, spending the time together, and of course it's easy to have fun when when success is happening on the field, but you just felt a little different energy from this team tonight, and they really did put it together. The things that stood out to me the most were controlling the flow of the game. They had 24 first downs, but they just seemed to be in control the whole time, getting success on the ground, setting up play action, getting Taylor Powell moving out of the pocket and completing passes. He only had 5 incompletions, 18 for 23, 222 yards, and a touchdown. And then James Butler, I mean, what more can you say? 21 carries, 118 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches, 36 yards, a touchdown. That's 154 yards of offense. Just a great performance overall. Like you and I were talking at halftime about maybe the scoreboard wasn't quite there, but you saw a lot of progress from this team, a lot of great things that make you smile and optimistic for what's to come. And that defense run stopping was incredible. Mizell only had 24 yards going into that final drive. He ended up picking up another 25 kind of in garbage time there, but just completely taking the BC offense, making the BC offense be one-dimensional, makes it really hard to win a game. And most importantly, the turnovers. No turnovers given away is a great way to, or it is the best way to win a game, especially on the road. 3-0 in that turnover ratio, just incredible.
Tiger Cats post game, we will go down to the locker room, which will be a joyous place. We'll talk to Coach O, player, which we're hoping to be James Butler. Our performer of the game we will name. Andy will review his car star keys to victory. We'll have a little roundtable chat. But first, let's go to our catch of the game as presented by Fisherman's Friend. Fisherman's Friend, it works. That's the honest truth. The situation was this, fourth quarter, 11-11 left, following an interception by Jameer Thurman. First down and 10 from the Hamilton 52.
For the Tiger Cats from their own 52-yard line. 3 receivers to the right of Taylor Powell. He looks that way immediately. That's the field side. Stays in the pocket. Pressure's coming. Completes the pass to Tim White. He's down to the BC 30. Tiger Cats keep it rolling with an active Green and Ross first down, and that was a big play the Tiger Cats have been looking for.
Just beautiful. Tim White is the 3rd receiver on the right side of the offensive formation. He runs a nice, patient sail route with a good stick move at the top. And Taylor Powell, comfortable in the pocket, just steps up and makes the throw. Just a good, well-timed throw. That was absolutely missing from the offense last week against Edmonton, where he was getting out very, very quickly. This time he looks patient.
I think what I really liked about that completion of 31 yards is one, and it was 31 yards after a lot of, taking what the defense gave you, but it followed a turnover, and it was a sort of a attack-oriented mode by the offense.
Yes, it absolutely was, and you heard the call from RJ and then the analysis by Luke there, and Taylor Powell had such a big improvement that from last week to this week in that staying in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield, being poised, and delivering in a cool and collected manner. And that was a clutch conversion to put some more points on the board. And they just continued to do that time and time again. It's just incredible improvement for one game by a rookie quarterback. Congratulations to Taylor Powell in his first CFL win. things are looking up for this team, and as they should be. I think a lot of people have Ticat fans have a lot of reasons to be happy and optimistic right now.
Speaking of congratulations, let's take this opportunity to name our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. A number of standout players today. In fact, just, it's overused in some ways in saying a total team effort. But, boy, number 9 really stood out at that running back position today, and he will be our Hercules Tire performer of the game.
Yeah, James Butler is going to get the nod. Taylor Powell could be in that conversation. Jameer Thurman, Casey Sales, Tunde Adeleke, all making continuous plays, standout plays in this game. But James Butler, we said a stat line, 21 carries, 154 yards total, 2 touchdowns total, just a monster. And a lot of that yardage is better than the stats, because he would be hitting the backfield looking like a 2-yard loss and end up getting 4, or dragging a guy from 3-yard gain to a 7 or 8-yard gain. So just continues to do what he does best, and that's whatever he's asked to do, and making people miss when he has the ball in his hands, and being a spark for this team.
Andy, let's review the CarStar keys to victory.
Yeah, number 1 was start fast, and I'm going to give this one a check mark. I know the score was 0-0 after the first quarter, but they did end up getting a 10-0 lead in that first half. They scored right at the start of the second quarter, and it just a lot of solid ball movement. They had that turnover on the first drive, turning the ball over on downs versus BC, and you just saw a huge difference from last game on both sides of the ball. So this one was a big win for me, but it was mostly subjective observation than anything objective in the stats.
Number 2, QB pressure, and that started early.
Well, number 2 was take shots downfield.
Take shots downfield.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And this one does not get a passing grade for me. Really, the only deep ball we saw was kind of on that down and down to Terry Godwin later in the game. But yeah, anyway, there's no buts. It doesn't get a passing grade, but they were able to kind of get what they wanted, and they had a game plan that I really liked, and they stuck to it, and they were controlling the line of scrimmage, and they were moving the pocket and bringing extra guys in to protect, so that they didn't really need to throw the ball downfield, I guess. I'd still like to see it a bit more, but yeah, I only really saw the one throw that was more than a 30-yard throw.
Number 3, the obvious, and when you win this one, you win games.
Yeah, so to win the turnover battle, 3-0. You and I talked about how on the road, how a turnover can spark a fire, and we wanted to see the offense dapping up the defense, and the defense dapping up the offense for scoring after turnovers, and that happened in this game, and it was just so much fun to watch, more so than the scoreboard. It was just fun to see this team coming together and looking like a team that has championship caliber, and will be eager to watch and see if this can translate for the big Labor Day matchup against Toronto.
Those are Andy's CarStar keys to victory. Let's go roundtable style, NASCAR style, and we'll go 4 wide while we bring in RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker. And, well, I'm going to be really, really basic and simple here, RJ, and just say that, boy, we talk about how losing can breed losing. Winning feels real good.
Yeah, Luke and I talked about it. What a difference a week makes. That was a low last week, losing at home to Edmonton, team that hadn't won a football game, and nothing was really going right for the Tiger Cats. You could pick apart pretty much everything. Tonight, tough to find a lot of fault. Yeah, they didn't throw a 70-yard pass. Big deal. Taylor Powell completed his longest pass of the season, 31 yards. He was excellent again. James Butler, he was a motivated guy. This was an excellent team effort. The defense, unbelievable. You talked about it, Andy. That opening drive where they stopped BC on downs, that set the tone right on that first drive, and the defense never looked back. In those fourth quarter turnovers, Tiger Cats were able to turn each of those into a field goal. It turned it into a 3-possession game. And nothing's comfortable for Tiger Cats fans. I understand that, but it made it realize that this is going to happen in BC. 3-score game. They shouldn't come back from that, and they didn't.
Well, when you talked to Coach O this week, you could just hear it in their voice and that quote from Simone Lawrence that it almost seemed like they were more together now after that loss to Edmonton than they were before that, and which is great to see that that translates onto the field into a successful product. You talked about that defense. This is a talented BC team with a lot of weapons, and they executed some big plays under pressure. Vernon Adams hit some receivers downfield, and we're looking at each other and said, whoa, that was a great play. And they ended up, the stat line was close to about the same net yardage, especially if you take away the garbage yards on that last drive there. But the bend don't break mentality and the turnovers just really made the difference in that run defense. It's so hard to continuously pass the ball downfield over and over if you can stop the run.
You know, Luke, we've heard in the past, and there's been a sort of fan attack on the Ticats defense. Statistically, there are some reasons to back them up in the sense that, the Ticats defense hasn't played well. All right, we're back. There's a situation there when your defense isn't on the field as much, when there's some control and pace on the offense, that your defense doesn't get as exposed as it has at times it has this year.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw in the fourth quarter of this past game against Edmonton where, even a good play by your defense, they're right back on the field, 2 minutes later in real time, it seems like. It's just so hard as a defensive coordinator and as a defensive player to manage, to have to defend the whole clock, right? And have to do it seemingly all on your own if the offense is really struggling to get first downs and maintain possession. And tonight it was just different. In fact, there was actually very few drives tonight by the Hamilton offense in total number, meaning because they extended those drives. They were taking their time, taking off yardage and continually moving the chains. And Andy, to your point earlier, one of the most encouraging things is you see BC going for it on 3rd and 10. Vernon Adams throws the interception to Jameer Thurman, and at the end of that play, literally all 12 guys that are about to take the field offensively explode onto the field and are rowdy, excited. They're going and high-fiving the defensive guys, and you see a different energy that's coming from from a very, very cohesive win.
We're just taking a look into the locker room right now, and the boys are having some fun. And
there's something called the Godwin cam that I've never seen before.
Terry must have a GoPro or I don't know.
Yeah,
his own channel or something.
He is a funny guy. He does like to joke around and have some fun, so I'm sure he's got people talking into that camera all the time. So this was a party. We probably be nice to get a hold of that camera, though.
Yeah, they're having a good time. I'll tell you that, fans. They're in the We're looking at them in the locker room, and there's a good time being had. And and I'm going to extend that, guys. I mean, you guys have taken these trips, whether as a member of the Tiger Cats, whether Saskatchewan or with Hamilton, for the two of you guys here, where that 5-hour air flight can be pretty tough if you lose, right? But if you win, and it just can spark such a good feeling amongst each other.
I remember leaving the field in BC Place with a torn quad and with 2 stitches in my lip. And then
were you flying commercial?
and then I actually, to be pretty honest, we didn't go to bed that night. It's just a fun trip, yeah. And this will be particularly fun for these guys. What a blast!
And they are taking the red eye, just so you guys know. They are taking the red eye tonight.
Oh, there you go.
All right, guys, let's go down to the locker room. We have exclusive access when we do go down to the locker room. And we will present this interview is presented by Access Storage. Score a touchdown with affordable storage. Access Storage has flexible storage solutions at a store near you. Try 4 weeks free. Details at accessstorage.ca. Let's go down to the locker room and connect with James Butler. James, how
Yes,
you feel?
sir.
We just saw you guys on the Godwin cam, and it looks like it's a good time in the Ticats locker room after this victory.
Yeah, man, we needed that as a team. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was the first team win where we clicked on all three phases. We've been waiting on it for, offense to complement the defense to complement the offense, and then, special teams complement both of us. So it feels good.
James, we saw the energy amongst the three units on the field, and the team went out there 2 nights before the game. Do you think that bonding time had something to do with like how you guys seemed to come together tonight?
100%. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this league is all about continuity, and I feel like we're finally starting to, it's already, week 10, but we're finally starting to get that and feel that a little bit. So we're finally starting to create that bond.
Hey, James, great job on the ground tonight. What was different for you and your offensive linemen that led to so much production for you?
Man, just, Coach Scott put a great plan together. We executed it, and, it was all those guys up front and receivers blocking downfield.
Hey, James, it's RJ. Any extra motivation against your former club tonight?
100%. I didn't want to talk about it beforehand or, what I'm saying? But, obviously it was a big deal for me. It was super personal for me. You can see it in my eyes. I told my offensive line, if you see red in my eyes, I'm okay. Just know that it's a little bit more gas for me today.
That's great. James, we talked this week. You said you had 2 choreographed celebrations. I was worried you're going to have to get to the third that wasn't choreographed. You want to take us through the celebrations that you had tonight?
So the first one was a limbo. The second one was I was just so excited. I just said, this my house. I'm still my house.
Awesome. So you got one in the tank for next week. Huh?
There you go.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got a couple left in me.
Wait, was Tim White's body the limbo stick?
Yes. Yes.
James, how does this, I guess no doubt, winning hopefully breeds winning. But, boy, you can't think of a better setup going into the Labor Day game where this place, your fan base will be certainly thrilled after this victory and facing the rival Argonauts. This one's got to feel really ready to go in there and face the top team in the East.
Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, this is a great one. But just like even out of a win, out of a loss, you know what I'm saying? We get the 24-hour rule. We're going to enjoy this one, but then it's right back to work.
Hey, is your mom going to enjoy this one?
My mom is going to enjoy this. Hopefully she's got something to post on Facebook.
She will. She will.
Yeah.
You did great.
All right, James Butler, enjoy the flight home. I know you guys are taking the red eye home. Enjoy it. Enjoy the boys. And I look forward to practice next week in a big game against the Argonauts. But congratulations on the win.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
James Butler. A happy man, guys.
He was unbelievable tonight. It's true. He was. He even said it about his eyes, but he wasn't going to be stopped. You said it, Andy. Even when he was hit behind the line of scrimmage, he kept going and turned it into positive yards.
Yeah, he was just incredible. And now he's absolutely right, though. He's going to enjoy it. The team's going to enjoy it. 24 hours. We're enjoying it. Bubba, you were asking about how nice it feels. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like winning a football game, period, because you have so many people involved for a whole week long, all coming together for one game. So that makes it different from any other sport. And so it feels so good, but it's going to be, the test is going to be, okay, now how do they respond off this win? How do they get back to work? And what happens with that product against Toronto on Labor Day? Because that's a big game and a huge challenge and a big opportunity as well.
Yeah, this was a statement. That would be a massive statement on Labor Day.
It has to be because, they went on the road and just beat one of the premier teams in the Canadian Football League. I mean, and we're talking about Vernon Adams Jr. And it is fair to say that he's someone that's going to, challenge the likes of a Zach Caleros for the most outstanding player award. Yet, I'm not saying he didn't play bad, but he looked kind of ordinary tonight, and that was a defense that had it all dialed up, and they just looked like that even when there was a reception made, the tackles were made. I don't know if I saw a missed tackle out there tonight, guys.
Yeah, you saw some good moves Mizell in the backfield for BC as well, but you're right. It was sure tackling a few great open field tackles too to really secure what could have been a big play. And you saw the BC Lions team that I think was a little bit shocked by how this game started on an opponent that, probably they felt pretty good about, and they were not ready for the productivity that the Ticats came out with. You saw some drops from the wide receiving core for the Lions, and mistakes that were uncharacteristic, but a Ticats team that was ready to and opportunistically taking advantage of those mistakes.
We've got exclusive access to the coaching room. Time to check in with Coach Orlando Steyer, presented by Access Storage. Score a touchdown with affordable storage. Access Storage has flexible storage solutions at a store near you. Try 4 weeks free. Details at accessstorage.ca. Well, Coach O, I'm going to set this up in the sense that you work real hard all week long on special teams and defense and offense. And it's got to feel real good for you as the head coach to see it all come together in a hostile environment on the road against a team that's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I can't really say enough about just the organization as a whole and staying together and finding a way to handle what's eluded us, and that is to show up in the win column. So I thought all three phases showed up today, and coaches did just a remarkable job of preparation. We just kept believing, but ultimately it's got to show up in the win column, and we were able to do that.
Coach, congratulations. You talked about the preparation, and I noticed a couple times tonight where rushers had an open look at Vernon Adams, yet they come to balance and sort of be a little tentative. Was that a game plan defensively to avoid any kind of pocket escape by Vernon Adams?
Well, we definitely wanted to limit it, but we don't want to hold people back and be cautious and not allow them to make plays. So, it cost us a little bit early, but you know what? You're not going to play a perfect game, right? Like, this is not a good football team. This is a great football team. They've proven that. And so, we definitely were aware of Vernon. We didn't want him out and about. And so I thought we did a decent job of that. I thought we were physical up front. Consistently for 4 quarters on both sides. They gave us a lot of different looks on defense. They were able to bring people in, but I thought our speed to power rushes were decent at times against their O-line.
Coach James Butler with obviously a great game, and you also have Taylor Powell, who did a really fine job running the offense and in the passing game. Maybe your best combination and balanced approach to running and passing. What impresses you the most about the Scott Milanovich's new offense and these young guys playing well?
I just think he did a great job of keeping them off balance, and I think, there's a whole new game plan that defenses have to prepare for now. Like, we were who we were before. And then, now obviously there's a couple of games where they're going to start game planning, what we do. But at the end of the day, the players still have to make the plays. So they were able to sustain drives. And, Taylor, we took a few sacks, but all sacks aren't equal. Rather have him take the sacks than, force the ball, where they're going to get a pick and change the momentum. And obviously special teams, stepped up. And Mark was able to put the ball through the pipes, fed Big Pin to deep a couple times. And so just a great win for all three phases.
Hey, Coach, it's RJ. After last week, such a different feeling after going into BC and really dominating this one on the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker, one of my favorite shows on the Ticats Audio Network, by the way. You talked about the goal is still the Grey Cup, and you've never wavered. You know this team was right there. What do you see in this team that maybe some fans don't?
Just the grind, just how we stay together, how we keep the belief. That's it. And I like I said on the show, like you can see the change internally. Like, we're figuring out our identity, but along the way, I get it. Fans don't want to hear that. They want to see wins, no challenge, but that's not going to make us alter our course, right? We want to win just as bad as everybody else. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but we haven't arrived. We need to use this.
Coach, we saw you talking to the refs after there was an apparent trip on Taylor Powell by Matthew Betts in the second quarter. But in the first quarter, and I'm not sure what you can do about that anyway, because it's not really a roughing the passer. You can't really challenge that. A trip on the quarterback. It happened in versus Montreal earlier in the season. But there was a play in the first quarter, the fumble on the BC punt returner. That was a clear fumble, but we couldn't really see what the explanation was. What did the refs tell you on that one?
I'll let you know when I find out. I guess never mind. I don't want to get fined. Forget it.
Yeah.
Call me on my personal line.
Fair enough.
I wasn't very pleased, but that's called adversity, which we're translating into opportunity.
Yeah, we saw the replays. We'll be the one. I don't think we can get fined.
Can we?
Okay.
that was a fumble for sure.
It's pretty obvious.
Thank you.
Just one more. First time this season, no turnovers. And I'll just leave it at that. It's not a question, but it's a factor in the game, and it has to feel good to finally get to the point where you have that 0 in the turnover column.
Well, it feels great, not just good. And that's just a credit, ball security, taking care of it, receivers blocking, and then, like I said, sometimes Taylor's he's gonna hold on to it, just to keep the momentum of the game the way we need it. Yeah, sacks definitely deter drives, but interceptions do the same thing. So that it was extremely important for us, and I don't know I'm not sure how many takeaways we had, but we had more than they had, so that usually bodes well for a win.
Well, Coach, as crushed as your fan base were here at Tim Hortons Field after the Elks loss, can you imagine how pumped up they're going to be on Labor Day coming off your sensational victory? Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be a good one. Again, your fan base is going to be pumped.
Well, nothing ever changes. Stay with us. Long season.
Enjoy the red-eye flight home. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Thank you, sir.
They're my favorite after wins.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
All right, Coach Orlando Steinhauer. Right. And again, got to feel good for the man there again. And I will say this again we talk about the players and for the coaches. Again, it's got to be good for them to see a lot of their hard work rewarded there, RJ.
Absolutely. And it is hard work, and it is staying the course. And I go back to last week, and that was tough for Tiger Cats fans. Edmonton getting that win, and to go to BC.
It's tough for us.
It was tough. It definitely was a tough game, but I think you said it, Luke. Sometimes you got to kind of hit rock bottom before you climb that mountain again, and this is a big step. And I just want to add 3 turnovers is what the Tiger Cats, they had 3 takeaways against BC.
And that, by the way, switches them with BC in the turnover ratio standings. They actually flipped positions with a positive 3 turnover game there. And, I think, the BC Lions brought that game back into a 4-point game at one point. It was 10-6 coming out of the half. And you think, well, Vernon Adams, he's been throwing the ball down the field in big chunks all season. They're looking for that win after a tough game in Saskatchewan, and then the Ticats come back with a touchdown, make it an 11-point game, and then they add on to that, and it just was a really resilient Ticats team that did not falter or get comfortable with the lead, but just kept their foot on the gas and avoided mistakes.
Resilience, a great word. I couldn't agree with you more. And you look at that first half, and the Hamilton drives, they started on their own 20, their own 16, their own 18, and their own 21.
Wow.
Yet it feels like they had total control of that half, and they had 14 first downs in that first half, and that's really impressive when the other team's starting 20, 30 yards further downfield on each drive. That stat kind of balanced out near the end with the turnovers, but still Hamilton averaged on their own 31-yard line, and BC was on their own 38-yard line. So to really dominate like that with a starting drive stat like that is impressive. So resilience is a great word.
One question to each one of you 3. You can respond as you may. Now that you have this victory, you've got to turn it around. You got to start stacking victories to get yourself back. The first half of the season is what it was. Now it's time to go elsewhere in another direction, Luke.
Yeah. I am very pleased with the Ticat defense and the way that they stopped a very good offense tonight. And if I'm Scott Milanovic and Orlando Steinauer, I'm saying I can work with Taylor Powell. Like I like the way that he's progressing. It is in his core right now to protect the football.
Yep.
He's doing a very good job of that. And yes, maybe at times even to the extent of not taking enough risks, you could almost say. But I'm comfortable with that. I can definitely work with that. It's much easier to help a young quarterback who's treating the ball security so importantly than it is to help a young quarterback who throws 4 interceptions in a game. So really encouraged and excited to see that offense continue to progress.
He's 24 years old and put in a position we didn't expect him to be in. And they walk into BC, who hadn't lost at home, who had given up a total of 37 points. And they put up 30 with Taylor Powell, who looked like a totally different guy than he did a week ago. He had the swagger. He looked excellent. I think the Tiger Cats are on the right track.
I love what Coach O said about keeping that defense on their toes, and they have another challenge coming up with Toronto, another excellent defense who's been very successful at taking the ball away. So I love how they brought extra protection in. They had some bootlegs, half bootlegs, and allowed Taylor to move around, move the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and be successful. I like where this offense is headed and team in general.
Hamilton Tiger Cats 30, BC Lions 13. The Cats are on the move. Thank you so much for listening, folks. For Andy Fantuz, and of course, RJ Broadhead, Luke Tasker, and the fine people and the many hands that put this broadcast together, I'm Bubba O'Neill. We will be back on Labor Day. It's going to be special for Tiger Cats pregame presented by Greenworks as the Ticats take on the Argos. We're coming for you, folks, for the Labor Day Classic. Our broadcast starts at 2:30 right here on the Ticats Audio Network.